Good tea. Nice house.
Greetings and felicitations.
Hello and welcome to an especially late Plomeek Tea Time number 32. Today, happy Good Friday, and today is the day that we're talking about Spartacus. But let me take away this banner here. This doesn't make sense.
Yeah, happy Easter, everybody.
Yeah, happy Easter. Happy Easter. I hope you guys have a great Easter this Sunday.
Well, I have nothing special planned, but the weekends are always good anyway, so I'm happy.
And this is a later show than our normal shows. Normally I stream around noon. So now I realize that I'm streaming over some other really great streamers hanging around like Admiral Teague and probably others too. But we're here today to just have a fairly casual conversation about the movie Spartacus. So if anyone would like to join the panel,
better late than not at all, right? So, because I've been looking forward to talking about the film since I actually watched the
and I have about 1 million slides. So
good. That'll help fill the time up. Then I won't have so much pressure to talk.
There's no pressure. It's tea time. Chill out.
That's one long film though, isn't it? Like 3 hours and 19 minutes or whatever the hell it is.
It is an epic movie. Kids
in every way.
They misuse the term epic. They use it for everything, but this is the definition of it.
Well, it's like
sprawling and adventurous.
It's like how people use the word genius, right? That gets overused a lot these days. Even for something mediocre, it's like, oh, it's genius this and genius that. Well, it's not really, but
Oh, and Sandra Feliciano is here. Hello, and other people in the chat.
Hi, Sandra.
Yeah. So Scotty R37 couldn't be here today, but I did watch the first 30 minutes of this movie with him. So you might see him in some of these screen caps until I realized that I needed to hide these things.
You did watch the entire film, though, right?
I did.
Good.
I did. I enjoyed it so much. It doesn't have a classic super happy ending, but it is an incredible film.
I think the ending actually kind of makes it a better film, really, because it's more realistic, right?
Definitely. And it makes me want to actually open up a history book to learn about the real legend.
Yeah, that's something I've never actually read up on, come to think of it either. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, for a film that's almost 3.5 hours long, it doesn't seem like it. Like it fills the entire time of the film in a very entertaining and interesting way. And I never felt there was any parts of the film that was boring for me at all. It's just it was all good, right?
Absolutely. And hello to Tony Stark. How are you doing today? I'm glad you could make it.
I am Spartacus.
How's Admiral Teague doing?
Hi, Tony.
Teague's doing okay. He's ranting and raving about what. But
I know I did that last night, but I do want to catch one of his shows one of these days.
It's a pretty good show, even on the rewind. I highly recommend.
I can definitely commiserate with him on a lot of the things that are happening with all of that. That is there's some, and there are so many people who love it, and I don't want to trounce on their love of it or whatever, but I just don't see it the same way they do, and so it would be neat to talk to Admiral Teague about it too.
Oh, we got Edge of Time, we got Snortopoopus, we got a few people joining in.
Hail the burr.
Mark Harkness says, hello, and you be Spartacus. As for myself, I come to bury Caesar's salad, not to praise it.
I was just eating salad when I read that comment a while back. It was pretty funny. I was like, wow, great timing.
Right? And Mark Harkness says Kirk Douglas. They don't make them like that anymore.
No, they haven't for a long time.
Yeah, talk about a heroic, legendary actor, right? Like, man, could he ever play characters like Spartacus and totally pull it off, like, really well? It's impressive.
Right. That's how he starts the movie, biting a Roman.
Yep.
Yeah. He basically probably screws his. Probably gives him a limp for life. Hamstrings him basically, right? So.
Yeah.
because that's not a good place where you want to get bit.
And also, hello to Matt G, Disney sheep herder.
Hail to you, Disney sheep herder. I'll respond to you in live.
Hey, Disney.
Oh, and Mark Harkness says, what is the plural of Spartacus anyway? And I thought about that one, and I think it's gladiators.
Gladiators.
Yeah, I guess it's not Spartaci. I guess that wouldn't sound right.
Or Spartacus.
Like octopuses?
Spartacus was the first one I thought of. I had to think a little longer to think of the right answer.
Yeah, I thought of that one too.
I'll do the low brow since you already did the high brow. Spartacus.
Nice.
Don't mind me, you all. I will be in and out. Like I'm trying to teach a computer that running Windows 11 to run a program from 2003 for my upcoming video. So,
that sounds like it could be a challenge.
I'm halfway there.
Wait a minute. Can you say that again? You're trying to run what on Windows 11?
I am trying to run a program from 2003 on a computer with Windows 11.
Yeah, that's going to be tough.
I know.
If it was a game, I'd say Scum VM. But in this case, have you considered using maybe a VM, a virtual machine?
I was thinking that, but I don't want to. It doesn't have a video card in it, and so I don't want to tax the VRAM on the GUI on the actual board too much by having a port. So I'm installing old legacy files, old DirectX files. I am looking for an ISO for the program to get past that. I've already got the program. I found a batch installer, and everything looks good from that end. So now we're going to see if I can't find an ISO of the disk, because I don't know where that disk is.
Tony,
well, I hope it works out for you.
Well, that's how you're going to see my flying DeLorean, hopefully.
Tony, since you're using a 2003 program, it must be a damn good program to be still using it after like almost 20 years, right?
Well, it's Grand Theft Auto Vice City with flying DeLoreans that travel through time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's going to be the... Not to take the subject matter from Spartacus.
No, that's okay. Well, I'll interrupt you if I have something to say.
No DeLoreans or time travel in Spartacus.
No. But
the only time travel is the fact that we're experiencing an extrapolation and fictional representation of some type of history.
Yeah, like Rome 2,000 years ago or whatever. Yeah, or Roman Empire.
I'm thinking one that can run on.
Oh, that can we go back? That guy was really good in the film. Like, he really played an evil SOB really well.
What was his name in this movie?
Oh, I can't remember it. I wish I could, but he was a great character.
Right.
Yeah, there's just so much. Like, I'm just skimming over Wikipedia here, and there's so much bloody stuff here. It's like, oh man, it's like overkill.
Well, yeah, it would be overkill just to read that verbatim. But if you see anything that is especially interesting, please let me know.
Yeah, I'm gonna just try and pick and choose here when I can. Yeah, I'm just trying to. Oh, geez, what was his name?
He dies anyway. Oh yeah, spoilers for the entire movie. They don't.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean,
but they do win.
Don't give that one away, though. That's a really cool death.
I mean, to be fair, though, I mean, that's how the idea of Spartacus, empowered the rest of the slaves. Like,
yes, exactly.
Yeah, it was the martyrdom element that makes it such a great movie.
Yes, this 1960 movie was directed by Stanley Kubrick, and it's about a slave rebellion, as Tony is saying, against the Roman Republic led by the gladiator Spartacus. But that doesn't begin to define him. We see him here right now as a slave, and they're training him to become a gladiator. And the catalyst for him turning against his oppressors is when he's made to fight against the other gladiators to the death before they're supposed to. And hey, PvP, do you remember what the name of the Ethiopian is in this movie?
Oh, you mean the Woody Strode character?
Yeah, him.
It says here it's Draba,
Drabba.
Draba.
Thank you. Drabba. He reminded me a lot like he reminded me of Captain Kirk from the episode Arena because he refused to kill. But unfortunately the Metrons were in charge.
Yeah, there was no mercy.
No.
Yeah,
No.
that's one of the most disturbing parts of the film for me is well, I don't know if I should give it away if we're not there, in the story yet, but
No, no,
that
no.
was
Don't care. Don't worry about the order of the story. This isn't Tuesday.
okay.
You can go all out of order.
I'm still a bit puzzled as to why he actually sacrificed himself to spare Spartacus's life. Like he'd basically won the battle, won the fight, and he could have easily just run him through,
Killed
right?
him, yeah.
But he
He could
didn't.
have, but he said no. And
Yeah.
I think that is what inspires Spartacus to do what he does.
But I still am a little bit puzzled as to his motivation because it's never really explored as to what he was actually thinking at that moment. But maybe, did he see something in Spartacus at that moment that he thought this guy can do more than I ever will?
Yeah,
Or
he saw change. He saw
yeah,
change.
something in in Spartacus's eyes, perhaps, is, it was like Spartacus was still defiant, but at that last second when he thought he was going to die, didn't he close his eyes for just a split second, like he was just accepting his fate?
Yeah, he was like, well, this was it. He's punching his ticket. And I think that was why it made the moment so good.
Yeah.
Is because this guy is accepting a fate, but not giving in to his resolve. Like he's staying stalwart even in death. And because he was
Exactly.
looking at death in the eye and accepting that this was it, because
Yeah.
Spartacus at the end of the day, let's be honest, he was looking for a good death. He wanted to die for the cause.
Well, it's like that old Midnight Oil song, better to, live on your feet than die on your
Yeah.
knees or whatever,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that's exactly sums up Spartacus's character for me.
Well, he says it all later in the movie when he says that slaves aren't afraid to die.
I got to say too, the Draba's death, Woody Strode's character, his death is brutal. Like what's the Roman guy's name that basically stabs him in the back and finishes him off? Oh, there's too many characters. Was it Crassus? Crassus? Was that Laurence Olivier's character? Was that the guy that stabbed Drabba in the back?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I was just trying to figure it out because I'm looking at the cast here and there's probably 20, 25 people listed here. It's crazy.
And for the 60s, it was an all-star cast too.
Yeah, I mean, Kirk Douglas, Laurence Olivier, Gene Simmons, Charles Lawton, Peter Ustinov, Tony Curtis. I mean, those are Herbert Lom. I mean, those are all huge. Even Woody Strode, Harold J. Stone. I mean, those are all pretty famous actors. Well, and it's like, yeah, it was really an all-star cast for sure.
Yes. Oh, Teatime wants to know what episode of UFO I'm on. What episode? Oh, I'm on Ordeal. I'm going in production order next week. We'll do the next episode in production order, but I don't know when that is.
Yeah, Ordeal was the last one we watched, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of a disappointing one. Not so good.
Snortapoopa says, unlike Crassius, I do not like snails, but I love oysters.
Yeah, that's kind of an infamous scene. Actually, that scene was actually cut from the original release, by the way.
Oh, it really was? I wonder why.
Well, for 1960, I guess it was just a little too racy,
I didn't realize.
Well, I mean, you must have caught the innuendo of the
yeah, I did.
Dialogue.
I did, but it's not like they do anything. It's just he's just taking a bath. I did get it.
But still, there's that undertone, right? When Tony Curtis's character is massaging his back, rubbing the oil in or whatever.
But it's a fact of history, so it doesn't bother me.
Still, it was this is 1960, remember though, so
right, of course.
Kubrick also had to cut a lot of the battle scenes, a lot of the more gory stuff at the original release because the studio wouldn't release it unless he cut some of the some of the
Mhm.
gory stuff. So, but it's all been restored. Now the version we see at 100 and, 197 minutes is the full film. Thank
This
goodness.
whole 3 hours it was an amazing
It just
movie, but
flies
it's so
by, really.
long.
It really
It
flies
it
by, though. The
Yeah, I
pacing
mean,
is fantastic.
yeah, it's a very good with pacing. I do agree there. It's like you blink and you'll miss it. It's
Yep.
one of those films that you don't, if you've never seen it before, hold your pee because you're going to come back and you're going to go, well, what the hell are we doing now? It's like
The
one of
good
those-
thing is,
Yeah.
good thing is though, the original release does have the intermission, like 15 minutes or whatever it is
Yeah.
in the
And
middle of the film.
this was my first time watching it, and I did have to watch it in breaks, but it was definitely captivating, especially when you would get to certain very high tension, high dramatic moments.
Well, like here in
Where
the kitchen, this
The movie
kitchen
won't let you
sequence,
go.
the kitchen sequence is brilliant. Like, I just love the way Spartacus kills this guy.
Yeah.
I mean, drowning him in a vat of soup is just brilliant.
Death
It's
by
just so
soup.
good.
You hungry? You want more?
Yeah, it's like that's the last time you're ever going to abuse me, sucker. You're done. You know? It's like it's game over, buddy. You know.
Hello in the chat to Words and Pictures and Susan Dolan. Words and Pictures says Stanley Kubrick was a master of the art of filmmaking.
Yeah,
And yeah,
one of
I
my
definitely
favorite
see that just
directors.
from here.
How many
Hail
Kubrick
to
films have you
Susan
guys seen, by
Dolan.
the way? I'm curious.
Oh,
Hail
how
to
many?
Susan Dolan.
Mhm.
Hopefully the owls are ready for tonight. I don't know if I'm going to be at the frolics later, but keep them on high alert.
Kubrick didn't make a lot of films compared to some directors, but the films he made are generally regarded as pretty much mostly classics. So he's a very high quality director.
Out of all the movies he's made, what have I seen? I haven't seen. I've seen obviously. I know one that I love the most is 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Yeah,
So
that's
speaking of the
Yeah.
frolics,
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. That's
You got
probably.
to remember The Shining is also a Kubrick film.
Oh yeah, that's a great
Mhm.
film too. Yeah, 2001 is definitely one of my top,
Yeah.
in my top 5, if not my number 1 film of all time. That was the film that changed. Like I saw that film when I was like 11 years old in the cinema, and because we didn't get it right away when it came out because our cinema was having renovations and it was closed. But I saw it the following year, and that's the movie that changed everything for me. Because up until then, as a kid, I thought movies were like just entertainment, right? Just a way to kill a couple hours. When I saw 2001, I realized movies could be high art as well. So that changed everything.
yeah, that's a monumental film for you then.
Oh, it's one of the key films of my life. Yeah, definitely.
Susan Dolan says, I saw this movie as a kid on TV. The only part I remember was the final scene. Didn't remember that Peter Ustinov was in it.
Peter Ustinov, yeah. He was great. I think the one actor that got an Academy Award in this film for his performance.
Tony, can you read this one?
I thought you didn't believe in the gods. I don't, and neither do you. But publicly, I believe in them, and so do all of you. Well,
Nice.
ruined the last part of the line.
No, but it was fine. I enjoyed it. Thank you. And hello to King Dolphin TV.
Hail,
and-
Raymond. How are you?
Oh, and Snortapoopus Cuber lets us know
Hey, Snorty.
Marcellus was the name of the head slave or whatever.
Oh,
And-
the ex-slave that was like the cruel trainer or whatever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the
He was
trainer.
he was a nasty guy. Which
Yeah.
made it so much fun when he drowned in the soup. That made it
Well,
very satisfying.
They had to condition. They had to condition, to keep him in line. So you want to get a big brute down there.
Oh
to do
yeah.
that.
Yeah, but he was a bit of a sadist, let's face it.
No, yeah, he was.
know.
I mean, you kind of have to be a sadist for that role. Nobody's going to say, "Hey, you
can't-
real
yeah.
nice guy,
You
can
can't
you
have
be
a
the
nice guy.
taskmaster for these indentured warrior slaves? Can you be the
No.
taskmaster?"
He obviously played the character perfectly, but still, there were moments like when he was going to take the woman into Kirk's cell and give him some good times, and then he's like no, we'll give her to the Spaniard or whatever, right? It's like that was pretty nasty. It's like he's
But
just being cruel.
Marcellus was played by Charles McGraw. Thank you, Sternpoopus.
And let's see, what was her name?
And so they're
Gene Simmons.
They're out of the gladiator camp
Varinia.
prison.
Varinia. Gene Simmons,
Let's-
I thought, was brilliant in this film. She was
Let's
great.
pause on the screen cap here and just look at the backdrop and how seamless it is with the set.
This is one. This is a good time to mention that Kubrick's role in this kind of scene we're seeing here, because actually he had a big falling out with the cinematographer on the film.
Mhm.
Because the cinematographer thought, well, I'm the cinematographer, I should be the guy making the creative decisions on how this film shot. And Kubrick was like, "Oh no, you're not. I'm going to do it." And Kubrick, basically, from what I've read, actually was responsible for most of the cinematic, the cinematography choices in the film. Kubrick pretty much took control, and so he butted heads a lot with the actual cinematographer, from what I've read.
But sometimes when there's a lot of drama behind the scenes, you make something really exceptional like this.
Well, the thing
And
is, Jill,
I actually didn't know this was a matte painting. This looks so real.
it does look so real. The thing is, though, Kubrick is famously known for his ability to use light and to shoot his films in kind of a cinematic, almost painterly way, and his compositions. I mean, you should watch a film like Barry Lyndon, for instance. Kubrick apparently shot the entire film only using natural light, which was quite amazing, at that time, because it's one of those films that it takes place in a historical period as well. And to think he actually only used natural light to achieve what he did is quite phenomenal when you actually see the film.
That is great. I should check that out. Thank you.
He's a master. Kubrick is a master.
Well, I definitely plan to see more than just 2001 over and over again. Hello in the chat to Jim's landscape. Excuse me.
I gotta give props to Jim's landscaping. He is good with the CGI ships. I'm actually considering commissioning you for some like pop culture fleet set piece battles with not just the Federation ships and whatnot, but like just really getting into the nitty gritty of like Star Wars, Star Trek. Throw the Serenity in there, throw the Millennium Falcon in there. Getting really big set, get some really big set pieces going. That would be really cool.
Wow, that's really great to hear about that talent, Jim.
Yeah, I just want to mention why Kirk Douglas actually ended up making this film. He actually was originally wanting to star in a film, Ben-Hur, which ended up starring Charlton Heston, of course, because I guess William Wyler chose Heston over him. So he was very disappointed in losing that chance to be in that movie. So basically, Douglas, went into sort of trying to find another story set in an historical time like that. And apparently he had read the novel that this is based on. I guess it's Howard Fast was the writer. And he was so impressed after he read the book that he actually ended up purchasing the rights himself to doing a film version of the novel. So that's kind of where it all kind of started.
Yes, I think some of the best movies are based on novels, even if they don't follow them perfectly. And this is a good example of one.
Yeah, true.
Thank you for that backstory.
Well, I'm just reading off Wikipedia. Hopefully, it's reasonably accurate.
Oh no, that sounds great. I appreciate it. And Jim's landscape asks, "No Scotty today? No, he has an away mission, so he didn't make it to the time that I needed today. But we got PvP and Tony Stark."
Trying to do my best, filling in.
You do great. You're doing great. Susan Dolan says, "Gotcha, boss." To Tony. I have to talk to you about how slow the data update on the Cyber Bobcats is on Fridays. It got hairy on the last couple of Friday Night Frolics, which will be in a couple of hours. So don't miss Friday Night Frolics tonight at 7:30 Central Time.
Oh, I just want to mention, as far as the writing of the screenplay goes, it was written by Dalton Trumbo, who was actually one of those people in Hollywood that had been blacklisted in the 1950s with the whole communist scare, when they basically blacklisted a whole lot of people from not allowing them to work. So he actually worked under a lot of pseudonyms through that decade just to pay the bills. Anyway, he actually got the chance to write the screenplay. It says here that he completed it in 2 weeks, which I find amazing that somebody could write something this complex in just a short 2 weeks. And Kirk Douglas basically, stood up for Dalton Trumbo and said he's got to have his actual real name on the screen credits. I demand it, and he actually won that fight. And that was actually the beginning of the end of the whole blacklist era. Basically, after that, a lot of people that had been blacklisted from working for anything in film actually were able to work again. So I think Kirk Douglas is a real hero for standing up for the rights of his fellow artists.
Blacklisting, is that anything like getting canceled today?
Well,
Never
it's
heard of this.
basically, yeah, they would, if you were like anyway considered sympathetic to the communists, right? Because there was
Oh,
the whole
right. Okay.
right,
Yes,
and
that
there
makes
was the
sense.
whole thing, where they'd have these, public,
Mhm. Okay,
you know,
yes. This
Congress
is
would
this I know
call
what you're talking
people
about now.
to appear, and yeah, and they'd basically rake people over the coals and basically try and deny them from making a living, basically.
Right. Just by calling them, yeah,
Communists.
it was like a witch hunt.
Basically a witch hunt. Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to remember the guy that was the head of it. Oh, I should know his name. One of the congressmen. He was a real dick. Yeah, he tried to destroy a lot of people. But yeah, just look. If you look up the blacklist, I'm sure you'll find lots of information about it. Because I don't want to, dwell on that because that's not really what the film's about. So
Well, yeah, but it's a bit about the production. Oh, it was Senator Joseph McCarthy.
McCarthy, that's the guy. Yeah. Well, the thing is, it's kind of a subplot theme in the
Thank you,
film.
Sandra.
It's just like when Woody Strode's Drabba is killed. Don't forget, this was right around the time when the civil rights movement was really starting to gain ground in 1960 and all through the 60s. And there was that undercurrent, like that scene. It was kind of a little bit of an undercurrent of racism. I've read too that they kind of worked into the film. It was subtle, but they worked it in there, right?
They did.
So it's a pretty complex film. That's one reason I love it so much.
Absolutely. I feel like I need to see it about 3 more times to understand all of the nuance in it. And
Mm.
hello in the chat to Sean Carter. And also Sandra Feliciano says to Snortopupus and Susan Dolan, I just got to the computer instead of phone. I had to get dinner started, so we're done before frolics. That's always my problem is I always get dinner started so late. And King Dolphin and Sandra are kissing. They're so cute. Then there's Sean Carter says, once more into the breach I go, delivering pizza to the masses of Temple, Texas. They will be grateful to see you. And hello to Cam Cam. Hey, Cam Cam. He says hello to us too. This is a seminal film. Douglas uses his clout to ramrod this film.
Good to see you, Cam Cam. I'm not back just yet, guys. There's a lot of tech work going on right now.
Oh, take your time. You've got stuff you got to do, so don't worry about us. We're okay. And Franco Walker says, "Do you like movies about gladiators?" Yeah, I have seen Gladiator with Maximus and all that. So this is another one.
No, that's like an airplane reference, isn't it?
Well, there you go.
If
I
you've
missed
ever
it.
seen Airplane, you'll get that line immediately.
I have seen Airplane, but not enough to know all
There's the scene in the cockpit of the plane where the pilot, he's showing the young boy the cockpit, right? And he says, "Do you like movies about gladiators?" It's just hilarious. You'll probably never get that scene in a movie these days, but oh well.
Words and Pictures in the chat says, random aside PvP. I tried and failed to find the painting in your profile picture, but I had a fabulous time looking up Canadian art.
Oh, awesome.
Lauren Harris's
Lauren
Mountain
Harris.
Forms,
Yeah.
Emily Carr, and many more. Thanks.
Oh yeah, yeah. Lauren Harris was one of the members of the Group of Seven, which is a very very famous group of Canadian painters. Back, I guess they were mainly active from like the 30s through the 60s, probably.
Wow. Well, that's really cool that you've inspired people to look up some art.
Oh, Harris is, yeah, he moved out here to BC actually towards the later part of his life, and he did a lot of
Oh,
really
God.
incredible paintings of mountains. They're kind of like iconic images if you actually want to look them up. They're pretty cool.
Sandra has leftover brisket. That sounds amazing. Yes, Sora Purpose agrees. No. Yep. So, we're going to get to it eventually, but eventually Spartacus leads his men away from Rome and tries to lead them away from slavery to freedom. So actually, it's really accidental that I happen to be talking about this near Easter on Good Friday. But the parallels are obviously strong here, except for the fact that Moses was able to lead his people. So this one is a bit more of a tragedy. But, it's actually wild that this week I saw 2 movies in which the side you're not really rooting for is the one who wins. This one in Chinatown. But unlike Chinatown, the loss in Spartacus, while it's tragic, is presented as more of a victory. Because even if they never stood a chance, the mere action of defiance against their oppressors was the victory.
Yeah. And it was one of those things that I can imagine that it's one of those, things that must have really shaken the authorities in Rome, at that time. They must have realized that their empire was not invincible, that, if enough people stood up against it, it might someday crumble, which eventually, of course, it did.
Yes, and that is explained by Spartacus. If there are people around to say no, then the
Exactly.
Roman Empire will realize that they're not invincible, like you're saying.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Well, that's an
That is the
undercurrent.
point of the movie.
Yeah, that is I think one of the main undercurrents in the film. It's not explicitly, talked about scene by scene, but there's that whole undercurrent of the Roman, elite, the establishment being very, very corrupt, very self-serving. They basically don't care about, anybody but themselves in the Senate, right? And everybody else. I mean, even the average Roman, they probably look down upon. Especially they look down upon the slaves, of course, but there is that theme of such deep corruption within the empire that will eventually lead to its destruction, because I think Rome basically crumbled as much from within as it did from without, so to speak.
I agree completely. Yeah, that is a good outlook on what happened to Rome. Not only what you're talking about, but also the fact that they didn't know that certain things, the lead in their pipes and
Oh yeah,
their
the lead
infrastructure
pipe.
was that they were poisoning themselves.
Yeah, basically, yeah, that's true.
Susan Douglas says most movies set in the Roman Empire have gladiators in it. Quo Vadis, Demetrius, and the Gladiators, a sequel to the Robe,
Barabbas,
and
yeah.
Gladiator. Thank you.
Well, I guess gladiators are kind of cool, though, aren't they?
Mhm.
They're kind of the downtrodden, underclass that we kind of root for, because, I mean, if you're not a member of the elite, you kind of love to root for those underdogs, right?
Right. And Cam says Douglas also optioned One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Couldn't get it made.
That's a great film too.
Son Michael later produced the great film with Nicholas. And
Yeah.
Sort of Lupus says, I'm glad they kept the gladiator sequences simple in this movie. They didn't show the bigger games they had in the Empire.
I agree. Yeah, I agree. I thought the gladiator sequences were really well done. Well, everything in this movie is well done. I mean, Kubrick, I don't know. He actually, the interesting thing about Kubrick making this film, though, this was the one film I think he ever made where he didn't have total creative control over it. right? Because in his contract, he had to let input come from the studio and other people. So he was not actually Kubrick was actually not very happy making this film, apparently, from what I've read.
Really?
Well,
Okay, so he
because
didn't have as much a handle on everything that
yeah,
went down.
I don't think he could, necessarily do everything the way he exactly wanted to, because Kubrick is a
Mhm.
real perfectionist. I mean, well, look at 2001. I mean, I rem this is the type of director who basically, wants everything. Oh, actually, I read something. The scenes after the battles when you see all the corpses, all the dead lying on the ground.
Oh, yeah, that was so sad. Yes.
I actually read that Kubrick was such a he's basically a real control freak. He wanted it so precise that he actually assigned numbers to each one of the actors and told them exact position he wanted them to lie in. And he basically diagrammed it all out so they'd have to like precisely, I mean it's nuts, right? But that was the kind of director
No,
he
that's
was.
not nuts. The presentation of the dead is really what
But
broke my heart.
his attention to
They showed
detail is
they
what
kept
I'm saying.
throughout the whole movie, they show this older man with this little kid, and they're
Oh
just so
yeah.
happy all the time, every time you cut to them, and then we see them dead in the battlefield. That
Yeah.
killed me.
Yeah. Oh,
Absolutely.
it's a very
I just made
heartbreaking
myself
film.
cry, actually. It is.
Yeah, I shed a few tears last night watching, especially that ending.
God.
That ending, it's just that's really I probably can't ever get through that ending without being emotionally affected. It's so
Right.
powerful.
That did it to me too.
Yeah.
And just like Words and Pictures says, this is a ideological victory, isn't it? The idea, the movement lives on through martyrdom and death.
Well, that's it. The idea triumphs, not the man.
Right. And Franco Walker says the best portrayal of Roman Empire is I Claudius, a
That's a
BBC
great show.
13-part series. I will write that down somewhere. That sounds great.
That is a great series. I saw that years ago on PBS when they showed it here, and it's really good. Yeah, highly recommended.
Well, that sounds great. I'll check it out.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
good. It's a good show.
And something else I noticed, there's a lot of symbolism in this movie, like with birds.
Uh-huh.
There's, and I guess to represent freedom.
You could be, I guess. Yeah, I suppose. I didn't actually think of that, but that's an interesting point. Yeah. Oh, but I wanted to bring up, how Kubrick got this job. Originally they'd offered the film to David Lean, the guy who
Mhm.
did Lawrence of Arabia, amongst other films. But he turned it down, if you can believe it. He said, "Nah, I'm not into it." So then they gave it to Anthony Mann, who I guess was well known for directing a lot of Western movies, right?
Mhm.
And he got fired a week into filming, I guess because they just weren't happy with the way he was working. I think actually Kirk Douglas was instrumental in getting him fired, because Kirk Douglas basically, there's a quote here. Kirk said he seemed scared of the scope of the picture. So I guess Kirk wasn't satisfied with that, and that's when Kirk, who had actually worked in his previous film Paths of Glory, which was directed by Kubrick, and I guess they had a good relationship working on that film. That's when Douglas, I guess basically called Kubrick up and said, "I need you to come and direct this film for me," and the rest is history, right? So, you know,
Oh, that's some good behind the scenes drama there.
yeah. I mean, this is quite a. It's even, I mean, the story itself is complex enough, but when you think
It
about all the
is. I
stuff
want
that
to see it
went,
again already.
yeah, behind the scenes, it was just as complicated, really.
Cam Cam says the version of Ben Hur with Heston is another seminal film. The chariot race
Mm.
is one of the greatest action scenes ever made. Everything was done practically. Amazing.
I agree. Ben Hur's a great film too, for sure.
And yeah.
I think I like this film of all the the swords and sandal epics that were made back in the 50s and 60s. I kind of think maybe this is my favorite though, because I think this is like the thinking man's version. It's like Ben Hur is a lot of fun, Ten Commandments is a lot of fun. They're great, awesome movies, but they're a little more simple in their stories, maybe a little more direct, to please the audience. Whereas this has got so many undercurrents going through it, from politics to, to slavery to inequality. It's got a lot of themes that it touches on, but it doesn't stop it from still being a very entertaining film, and still having a lot of great action in it. But then there's also the love story too, between Kirk Douglas and oh god, what's your name? I keep forgetting her name. uh
Did you
between
say earlier it was Gene Simmons?
Yeah, Gene Simmons. Yeah, that's the one. I mean, there's that great undercurrent. I think the love story actually is kind of the centerpiece of the film for me.
And really,
I think it's a very important part of the film, because I think that's part of what. Well, I mean, remember when Kirk is basically, he's just a slave at the start, and he's kind of downtrodden, and then he meets her character, right, and that kind of sparks something in him. I think that makes him want to be better, that makes him want to escape his bondage, so to speak. And I think as the love between the two of them develops and actually grows into something real, I can see that's a big part of why he wants to become a free man, to make his own choices in life, to not have
yes.
anybody dominate him.
Yes,
And
that is his main goal. You get to see what his dreams are with
yeah,
Verena.
exactly.
Verena.
I guess I have a hard time pronouncing her name too. But I think that's really the kind of the
Yeah, I
cornerstone, the
agree.
center of the film, really.
Mhm. Yeah, it's an important theme, definitely, when he falls
Mm.
in love with her and wants to have a life
Yeah, exactly.
beyond what he's been having to endure.
He basically wants to live like a normal man, like as just a free individual, right?
But I really enjoy the politics, like you were saying earlier.
Oh, it's
You don't
great.
expect that this character is going to be the one who's going to help Spartacus's wife escape.
They're all so corrupt. It's great. Like they're kind of
Right.
characters you really love to hate because they're really slimy.
You can't, and because they're slimy, you can't tell what they're going to do next.
Oh, exactly. They're so even with each other.
Oh,
I
I
would
need to step away for just a second. Can you talk to the chat for just
sure.
a minute? Thank
Okay.
you.
I mean,
Sorry.
I'm back too.
Hey, Johnny. Okay.
Hey, how you
something?
doing?
You want to add some comments then?
This scene here is definitely a tearjerker. In fact, the whole movie's a tearjerker, and you're not any less of a man for crying. That's for sure.
There's some very emotional moments, yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. Well, it's just the reality of the situation. When it starts hitting you, it can, these tears aren't just tears of sympathy, but they're tears of empathy, and you want to share the cross, you want to bear the cross with them,
Well, you
kind of
really
vibe.
feel the sorrow and the tragedy of the lives of these slaves, like just how beaten down they are by the elite, right? I mean, it
Right.
really is. It is very, very I think probably Spartacus may be the best film that ever examines slavery. Like, I'm sure there are others that I'm not thinking of at the moment, but it is a darn good example of how evil slavery, really, really is, right?
Well, it is, because the thing is as we've grown as a species,
Right.
there's still some levels of yokes in place. Like, if you go back to the Avengers movie, the first one, whenever Loki was in Berlin and he waved around his stick and he said, "Everybody kneel," and everybody did. And he's just like, is this not simpler? Is this not what you really want? And, we have that dichotomy between wanting to have a value and a sense of self versus this subconscious desire to have somebody handle the big boy decisions for us. And that is why we've seen slaver empires rise and fall. We've seen people become completely indentured because somewhere, somehow, there's always going to be that one person in the group that's going to go, "Hey, this ain't so bad." And it's like, we just we can't really break that cycle. And even now we're having trouble breaking that cycle.
Well, that's always the dichotomy in humanity, isn't it? There's always the two sides of the coin.
Yeah.
right? You have freedom and you have slavery, and I think there's always a point where you've got to find the balance where it's like there's more freedom than slavery, but I don't know if any society has ever achieved total freedom, because I'm not even sure what that would really look like, if that would be anarchy, or which I don't think is a good thing either. So you've always got to kind of
Anarchy
have
would only lead back to tribalism and slave empires.
well, yeah, exactly. I mean, I don't think
it-
it's functional at all as a concept, really,
Yeah.
personally. But I think that's the necessary evil of politics, right? We do need to have some kind of structure to our societies, some kind of governance that keeps the roads paved and the schools and the hospitals open, and we do need these things to survive, as a species, right? So it's always, I think, kind of a balancing act, personally.
Yeah. Well,
Oh,
it's
here's
kind of
this thing.
difficult too. Oh yeah.
Is Jill
Those
back? Jill
snails
must be
annoy
back.
me.
Are you back, Jill?
I'm here. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, this is the scene you were telling me that was
Yeah, I knew when
too
we saw this.
racy for the
we had this
1960s.
we saw this kinky little bath action going on here.
Bath. Do.
Oh,
I'm
boy.
gonna love you, love you, love you.
I thought this was hilarious, actually. This scene. I was laughing all the way through this, watching it last night. I'm not surprised they actually originally cut that.
I actually have to
scene.
go go away again for a minute.
Okay.
Sorry.
After these messages, she'll be right back.
Oh yeah, but yeah, that was quite the scene. It was like, actually, when I read that they actually did cut it from the original release in 1960, I wasn't too surprised, really, because it was like, yeah, I could see that the audiences might have kind of thought that was a little unsavory back then.
Right.
Even though it doesn't even make us blink our eyes today, really. In fact, it made me laugh. So, but I guess when Kubrick had to cut a lot of the gory stuff too, I mean, because the studio demanded it, it's like that's probably one of the main reasons he was a little pissed off. He kind of distanced himself from the film for a number of years, I read, because he wasn't totally happy at not having complete creative control, in his directing. But still, I mean, I think, luckily, since all that original footage did survive and they were able to restore it, I think in 1991 or whenever it was, and we have the full version back again.
The end of this movie says the remaster was 2015.
2015. Oh wow, they even later then. I guess they might have done a few of them. I thought it was back in the 90s, but
You're probably right.
There
probably was more than one.
I think they probably pieced the lost footage back into it, Jill. They did color correction and all that good stuff, right? Because apparently, some of the original prints were in bad shape, and I don't know if the original negative was even usable, but somehow they managed to put it all back together. And they probably, when they did, I imagine they remastered it for like, Blu-rays or whatnot. So, yeah. Oh, can we actually go back a little ways, back to where he's riding along the horse?
I love all the shots of the people just living. Yes.
Oh, it's wonderful. I mean, look at the detail. That's Kubrick for you, right? Look at the detail of all the stuff going on in the hill behind them.
Yeah.
This
is take 100 shots. If we only do one scene today, by God, it'll be a scene we do right. Stanley Kubrick.
Well, actually, Kubrick wanted at the start, he wanted to only do 2 shots a day. This is what a perfectionist he is. The studio said, no, we need 36 shots a day. Kubrick wouldn't go for it, and they ended up doing a compromise, I believe, of 8 shots a day. So Kubrick still wasn't happy, but at least he got it, better than he would have had it, right? So
yeah.
But I want Jill when she comes back.
Well, the thing is, if you remember, like, just look at the scene at the beginning of 2001, like with the people in the ape suits.
Oh yeah,
they actually had to take one of those extras off in a cart to be hydrated because they passed out from heat stroke in a black ape suit.
I can imagine.
In the middle of a desert. And that shot took 130, 140 retakes of the same scene.
Kubrick, yeah, he's legendary for doing like 100+ takes of a scene. Yeah, actually, can we go back more, Jill? I wanted to
Okay.
go back to the scene where he's riding along the cliff on the horse right here. Now that's a real cliff, right? That's not CGI. That's a real drop
That's
off
not a
there, right?
bad. That I don't know. I
It
really
looks
can't
pretty
show my
real to
arrow.
me.
It does,
Uh,
right?
They
It
didn't.
looks
it
real.
is,
This is 1960. They didn't have CGI in
but
1960, right?
they did have backdrops, and I'm looking. If you look at the
Yeah.
trees at the beginning of that grassy knoll at the
But
very
look at the
far left,
guys standing there with the spears. Like those spears
yeah,
look like they're really there, and they don't look like they've been matted in any way.
I don't think they're matted in. Those dudes. No, this set with the rocks. I wish Jill put your arrow, put your little Enterprise there on the little trees on the very left. Okay, now bring that down. The little trees at the far left. Now bring it
Mhm.
straight down about what would be an inch, and then you'll see the line difference in the color, the coloration differential there. Like where the trough of the rocks end, you see like a
The
little bit of the
rocks
rock
provide a
there.
divider.
Yeah. And that's basically the backdrop there. Like you could, it looks very much like a backdrop from that line up.
Yeah, everything
Um,
looks real except for right in the middle here where it looks like maybe this is
Yeah.
paint.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I
That
mean the
that looks like a
backdrop there,
backdrop.
maybe they're faking it. But I mean the stuff right at the edge of the cliff, I don't think they are. And it looks
Where
to
was
me
this filmed?
like he's riding pretty darn close to the edge of that drop off. And I don't think they'd
Yeah.
let too many actors do that today, with the insurance costs, right? Because if that horse had suddenly decided to, you know, freak out and lose it and just went over the
Right.
cliff, I mean, that'd be the end of Kirk, right? So
It says that it was filmed largely in Spain,
yeah, that's what I
Mhm.
read. Spain,
in Madrid, Toledo,
Toledo, Spain, I believe too.
and obviously desert. I should have put my desert backdrop.
Yeah, I think they did all the outdoor shots. I think were actually done on location from
Mhm.
what I've read. So,
Well, how do you explain Rome? How do you explain the
oh, the
backdrop
Roman
there?
stuff. The Roman stuff was all done in that was done in studio. I
There we
read
go.
that.
Now
That
I'm
was
in
Yeah.
the
done in
desert.
studio. It was a mixture, right? But
Yeah.
it was all put together so well. You really don't think about it when you're watching the
It's
film.
seamless and back, the thing I like about this older color grade, this borderline technicolor grade is it creates seamlessness a lot with a lot less effort than a lot of these CGI guys do today.
Yeah, I don't care for most CGI, to be honest.
Right. I wouldn't have noticed any of it if you hadn't pointed it out to me directly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you especially don't notice it when you're actually engrossed in the story and you're just watching the film as it goes by, right?
No, it's like
You know.
you see that backdrop in Rome and you go, "Oh my god, that's the Pantheon and it looks gorgeous," like
Well, Kubrick, as I keep saying, Kubrick was such a perfectionist. I mean, he would not settle for second rate on anything he did that I've ever seen. So that's why he's one of my favorite directors. I think the only other director I love as much as Kubrick would be Akira Kurosawa, the Japanese director, which he's a master too. So they're both great filmmakers.
Snortopupus Cuber in the chat says there's a lot of anachronistic undertones to this movie. Obvious parallels between Rome and Cold War America, but still enjoyable. Oh, interesting parallel there. I didn't even notice it. I'll have to watch the movie again to catch that. That is a kind of a neat way, just like how Star Trek used an alien backdrops to talk about today or then in the 60s. Interesting. And Cam says, "This is my wheelhouse. I, Claudius by the BBC is a brilliant adaptation of Graves' book. Claudius, the God is the follow-up to it." And Words and Pictures says, "Oh, the irony is tangible. Kirk Douglas, Spartacus, is the dominating power, suppressing the weaker director and replacing him with Kubrick."
Oh yeah.
Oh, and Spartacus, Snortopupus Kubrick says, trivia, the bear majored in ancient history in college, which explains why the bear is poor.
That's a new name for us, Snarty. It's Spartacus Cuber.
No, that doesn't work.
The more you know.
Uh,
No, this whole live stream happened because I changed my name to Anti-Derivative Spartacus for April Fools, and I didn't realize you could only change your name twice. So now I'm stuck with this name until.
I thought you were back to Jill today, though.
No, I'm not. Well, I am in
Oh,
in
it was.
StreamYard, but
Oh,
in the chat, I'm still.
and
I'm
in
still-
YouTube.
Drill.
Well, that's good. Then
Who
that's
was the
appropriate.
drill? Were you the drill that night?
That's
Yeah,
appropriate.
I was the drill, then I was Spartacus, and then Mad G said, "You're gonna be stuck with that name for 2 weeks," and I was like, "What are you talking about?" And he was right.
That's pretty funny, actually.
I was
hilarious.
distracted. I didn't see the warning because I was doing so many
Yes.
things.
And you were engrossed in the fun. And
I was. It was a lot of fun that night. That
I
was a
tried
good
to get
frolic.
everybody back to their home dimension, but then they just kept coming. There was more and more of them, and I was like, you know what? This is out of my hands.
I gotta say,
Yeah,
Jill,
even Rick couldn't even handle it.
Rick couldn't save the day.
as a software engineer, I'm a bit surprised you didn't catch that before you clicked on the button.
I know, right? I just missed it.
That's
Franco
funny.
Walker says the cops have come for Jill, and the reason he's
Uh-oh.
saying that is because he must have heard my child's toy. When I had to step away, I had to put batteries in her toy, and it
Uh-oh.
happened to make those sounds.
I was about to say, did you pull over?
Yes, and the police officer is 4 years old.
Well, that's qualification enough. I should see cops these days.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. Sean Carter says, I had a cat I named Spartacus. He was a true warrior and lived to be 17. Wow.
When
That
I
is an-
was 7.
That's an incredible age for a cat. That's great. And Zordapoopus Cuber says the Roman troops are extras from the Spanish army. Oh, hey, that's cool. Hollywood loved to film in Spain. It was inexpensive, and you could rent the Spanish army.
You could. You
Neat.
know, I've never been to
And they did a great
Spain,
job.
but I kind of like the music.
I haven't been to Spain, but my ancestors have. And so, yeah, they were all over Spain, in mountains, in the desert,
In the hills and the valleys, and the
everywhere.
beachheads.
They were in Sierra de Guadarrama. Mountain
Sierra de
range.
Guadarrama.
Yes. Cool.
I'll need a volunteer, one man, a woman. It's the entertainment at the campfire.
Right, this is what I was talking about earlier with the birds.
Mhm.
This is another example for Easter here. This guy, his magic trick is that he lets go of these little birds from these eggs, and he does kind of like the quarter trick that everybody does today. Where what's that behind your ear? It's a quarter, but in
right.
this case, it's an egg that has little bird in it. But then
You know, what I just wanted to mention, what I really liked about Tony Curtis's character, when Spartacus asked him what was your job or what's your skill or whatever, and he's like, well, I sing songs, right? And Spartacus is like, what?
then he doesn't sing at all. That's the weird part. Can anyone explain why this man didn't sing? Like he says a beautiful poem, but he's not singing.
Basically, what he's saying is, I'm an artist, right? When he can do magic tricks. He's an entertainer, right? He works for an audience at his craft, so to speak.
I did understand that he's an entertainer, but he doesn't sing. He says he's doing songs.
I guess if they turned it into a musical, it might not have the same impact. I can just imagine Spartacus launching into a song, Wouldn't be quite the same film, but I don't know either. I have no idea why they made that decision, Jill. But I just wanted to bring up, though, I thought it was very cool. At first, Spartacus is kind of like, what? That's what you do, for like what you did for a living. And then later he comes to appreciate his talent, and they become fast friends, right? you know?
Right. And yeah, they become best friends
Yeah,
basically.
so he judges him at first saying, "Well, that's not, that's not a real job. That's, what's this, artsy stuff, right?" And
But
then eventually,
he fights for his right to fight.
but then he appreciates his talent eventually, right? When he learns
Mhm.
more about him as a person. So I thought that was a really kind of beautiful little subplot in the film too.
I like this part where Spartacus
This,
reveals that he
yeah,
wants to learn more about the world. He doesn't know how to read. He wants to learn everything.
this is
And
such a
I
beautiful,
identify with that kind of sentiment.
this is such a beautiful romantic scene. This scene when he picks up the leaf and he runs it through her lips
Mm.
here, like, is that the most sensual, beautiful? That's like, that is one of the sexiest scenes I've ever seen. I just think that's so beautiful. It's just so beautifully done. It's like
Mhm.
poetic romance. You don't see that in films anymore.
Well, we
Oh,
see it
no,
here
no,
and I
you
enjoy
really
it.
don't.
I just
I
thought
will
that
be
was.
right back again. I'm going to do some more testing.
Uh-oh.
Okay, good luck.
Yeah.
We'll be here
Hope
when
that
you
com-
return.
hope that computer cooperates. But I just love that scene. I just, that's why I kind of love the
It is
romantic
lovely.
subplot so much. Yeah,
I
that was
like it.
really sweet.
It is a genuine romance.
It really
I
is.
enjoy
I
it.
actually think they must, actors must, he and she must have really liked each other on set, because there does seem to be a definite strong chemistry between the two of them.
I agree. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Mark.
the Spanish army. Yeah, the Spanish army. They actually lent a lot of soldiers for the battle scenes.
Mhm. Mark Harkness says Kubrick at least was more cooperative than Akira
Kurosawa.
Kurosawa. The white on this shrine wall is wrong. I'll repaint it for the 23rd time. We see it for 10 seconds. We need footage.
Well,
That is overboard.
Kurosawa was pretty much a perfectionist too, I think. But that's why his films are so fantastic.
Jim wants to know if we saw his live stream yesterday.
I was working yesterday, so nope.
I didn't, but check it out. Check it out, guys. Check out Jim's channel. I need to get his channel in the rotation. Yeah, Franco's gonna go look for it. But if you want some fun tonight, make sure to check out Overlord DVD. He's gonna have his Friday Night Products.
Because I think actually, I think the number of extras in this film for like the
Mhm.
battle scenes, it was like 8,500.
8,500.
8,500 extras.
Wow.
And it looks, well, when you see the battle scenes towards the latter part of the film, it's believable, right? Because there's a lot of
Yes, it's
people there.
believable, but I'm used to so many movies using a small amount of people and just multiplying them.
Yeah, but remember, this is 1960, so they didn't have any way to fake, moving bodies running around, right? So
Right, that makes
they,
sense.
they pretty much had to get the real people, which makes it even greater, of course, because I think the battle scenes are
Oh,
fantastic.
Susan Dolan says, "Hail to Sean Carter. I have a Scottish Fold Tiger stripe Tom named Tough Guy. You haven't seen a knockdown drag out till you see two Toms locked in mortal combat, rolling across the yard." So she's saying her cat was a warrior too.
Well, that's good.
Words and Pictures says, "If you want a deeper understanding of ancient Rome in an entertaining and intelligent style, I recommend the books SPQR by John Maddox. Audiobooks are available on YouTube." John
Interesting.
Dante's channel. Cool.
Wow.
His name is Spartacus. That means he's from Sparta. Even a musician from Sparta is a powerful warrior, says Words and Pictures.
But wasn't Sparta a Greek state in Greece? I'm being nitpicky here, but I think that was a Greek state, was it not? Yeah, those Spartans, right? So maybe
Yeah.
he was named after that somehow, but we don't really get the origin of his name really in the film.
Well, yeah, in Greece there was a city called Sparta.
It was a city state. I think the Greeks had their city states back then, in ancient history. And Sparta, I guess it was Sparta, was I think the most warlike of all the Greek states. I think they were, actively trying to conquer other states next to them a lot of the time. So
Yeah, mostly with with
Yeah, I'm trying to
Athens.
Athens. Yeah, I'm trying to remember the name of the different Greek states now, but it's been so long since I've thought about ancient Greek history that it's eluding me at the moment. But
That's all right. Snortopupus Cuber says, I thought about doing this once and rubbing a leaf across a girlfriend's mouth. I never did it. But with my luck, it would have been poison ivy.
well, you got to be careful. Yeah, you better check that out beforehand. That's funny.
If it would have been, you two would have gotten married.
I like the part here with the pirate or whatever he is. What are the Phoenician pirates? Were they?
Yeah, he's a pirate.
And that was cool. Like
I think
it was like
Sicilian or
I can't remember. Yeah, I can't
with the
remember
C.
exactly. Anyway, he's gives him this huge chest of treasure, right? And he's like, "Okay, we'll be there." And then, of course, that doesn't turn out so well. Yeah,
Right.
that's
No, it doesn't.
maybe that's the big risk. So trusting your fate to pirates, maybe not the best idea in the world.
Oh, it says it's the Cilician pirates
Okay.
who were in the Mediterranean, led by Herod. Is this Herod? I don't even know. But yeah, yes, and he allied with
that was Herbert Lom as
Oh.
Tigranes
Oh,
Levantus,
Tigranes. You're right, Tigranes.
pirate envoy.
Okay.
It says here. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. I think I accidentally looked up the TV show, which is different.
Yeah, I imagine it would be. Yeah. Yeah, there's so many
Oh,
characters.
the giant rolling logs were cool and really dangerous. They were cool. They looked real too.
I think they were real, which is kind of scary to think about. But yeah. Oh, that's a great line.
All men die, but a slave and a free man lose different things.
I love
I think
the
I
first
might have
part,
got the lines here.
all men lose when they die. That's a great line.
Death is the only freedom a slave knows. That's why he's not afraid of it. And Captain Finity, hey, hello. He says, I'm indulging in a dangerous activity right now. Oh, be safe. Hey, that's scary. Snortopupus Cuber says Spartacus was probably from Thrace, although no one is really sure. And thank you, Snortopupus.
No.
I couldn't figure out the name of the pirate.
Hey, Scott!
Had the answer.
I was able to succeed with it. I was able to succeed in creating a 2003 emulated program to run my flying DeLoreans.
Great. Awesome.
All right, Doc. We're in business.
Wow.
That's awesome.
I know how to speak an old code. It's an older code, so but it checks out. Anyway, I'm just super excited. Anyway, back to Spartacus.
That's good. Wow. Yeah, I like this part when Spartacus finds out the Romans are basically not taking their threat to them seriously, and they're having like a party or whatever, letting the guard down because the Romans are so arrogant at this point, right? They think they can't lose. And then Spartacus is like, "Yeah, let's go join the party." I love that line. It was really funny. And I was like, "Man, do they ever join the party here?" It's like, wow. And this guy was another guy I thought was a real jackass. This Roman guy, I can't remember his name, but I did not like him at all.
The Centurion.
He was arrogant as all hell.
Yeah, not the Centurion, but the senator.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Yeah.
Was it Marcus Glabrus? Was that the
Marcus
guy?
Glabrius.
Yeah.
Glabrius.
Yeah, it's misspelled here then. But yeah, I think that was the guy played by John Dahl, the actor. Yeah, that's him.
That's John Dahl, yeah.
Yeah, it was Marcus. Yeah, I actually thought his performance was maybe my least favorite in the film. Because then again though, the character he was playing was kind of a superficial, guy. So maybe the performance was actually kind of appropriate, I suppose. But I just found him a little bit wooden sometimes, compared to all the other actors, which I thought were fantastic. Oh, this is a good scene too. This is great. It's like, hey man, you screwed up big time. You're in trouble, boy.
He didn't even build the moat.
Yeah, can you imagine the embarrassment having to, walk into the Senate chamber and just basically getting, sort of, getting a verbal beat down by everybody? Like, wow.
Oh yeah, those browbeating any way you looked at it.
Mhm.
Frankel Walker says my mom fancied Herbert Loam something
Wow.
rotten.
That's
She
different.
had his photo next to her bed
Wow.
up to the day she died 7 years ago at the age of 87.
Now it's
Wow.
7th of April 2023.
Sorry about that.
Thank you, Jarvis.
Yeah, I never thought of Herbert Lawn as a sex symbol, to be quite honest. But hey, I'm not a woman, so I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
Sean Carter, your cat is cute.
Wait, Sean Carter showed it. Sean Carter can't show a cat
in the group. In the group.
Oh, in the group. Okay, hold on. I didn't even. Oh, I don't. Oh, I'm not in the group anymore. I got.
After we're done covering the Spartacus, I do have a question to ask you.
I'd show the cat if I had it.
No, I'm haunted by. We'll wait till after the review.
Oh, after the. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But I didn't have much prepared for this movie. I just saw it for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. And I really appreciate your. Yeah, this is my first time ever watching it. And it was an incredible ride. I cried like probably 2 times in this movie.
Only 2. Well,
I think. I mean,
oh, this is a good scene.
It is a scene.
She's like, how long have you been there? It's hilarious.
How long do you want me to be there?
It's like, well, I've just been enjoying the scenery, dear.
You have to be gentle.
It was so cute. Oh man, they're so cute together in this film. It's just such a sweet romance. It's beautiful.
It is. And they're working on intercepting Spartacus.
Well, here's some of those 8,500 extras.
Here they are. Herbert Lom died in 99% of the films he was in.
Oh well, it's a living.
Yeah, it's a living. Making a living dying.
Gotta say, these Romans really like to hang out in the bathhouses a lot, don't they?
This is Rome talking about. Come on now. If there's one thing they took from the Greeks, it was definitely the intimate proclivities in the bathroom.
There you go. If there was no Rome, I'd dream of her. Well, there's a line.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, he gets really romantic when he talks about being patriotic for his country.
It's not Greek at all.
Oh boy.
I was about to say, even the kid likes my jokes. I think they're stupid, but hey.
Well,
sometimes if a joke's going to be funny, you got to.
And this is what surprised me when he decides to help Spartacus. I was like, "What's happening? I need to rewatch this movie to figure out what changed his mind. Well, how does this help this guy get back at? He just wants to get back at Crassus."
Yeah, he's
probably
got a bone to pick with Crassus at this point because Crassus is being a huge prick.
Yeah, Crassus,
if that's the shortened end of it, I think I didn't get that.
Yeah. Crassus is really the biggest jerk in this film, as far as I'm concerned.
He is.
Yeah,
this is so sad though when you get to this part of the film, and
oh well, they have one last party on the beach at least.
Yeah, they think it's all. They think they're all going to sail away and live happy ever after, and then it's like, oh no.
No, you know what really hurts when you see all of those dead bodies at the end is that you were watching them the entire time, seeing them dance, and I saw this little boy at the
Yeah.
end of the movie in the
That's what
pile.
made it. That's what made it
That's
real.
her. Yep.
Once again, though, that's Kubrick, Jill. He never pulled away from putting harsh realities in his films. He actually could be quite harsh, the way he filmed, stories about humanity and show all the flaws and show all the dark sides of things, which is another reason why I love him so much as a director. Right? He
It's-
never sugarcoated anything.
Yeah, that scene just with the massacre, like the aftermath alone, is enough to remind people that this is in the ancient to classical era. This is pre-Bronze Age. This is, or it might be Bronze Age. No, it's classical, and it
Yeah.
just goes to show you that people are the same. You get a bunch of people together and they're having a good time and they're just enjoying what little they have. And then you have on the other side of the coin, monsters that wear
Yeah.
human faces that come in and just ruthlessly kill this otherwise very joyous band of people. And what you get is the similarities from the classical era all the way up to now are uncanny in
Yeah,
how he presented it.
all through history,
All over the
all
world.
through history, the
All
lesson
over the
repeats
world. This happens
over and
on a
over, over and
daily
over again.
basis.
Yeah,
That's
totally,
the point
totally.
he was hammering home. Because Snortopoopa said earlier that there are some connotations to the Cold War. They're very subtle, but they're there.
That would be a
Obviously,
little
because,
undercurrent too, yeah, because 1960,
yeah,
the Cold War was
yeah.
kind of at its peak then, because we were like a couple years away from when we almost had a nuclear war when Kennedy was in the White House, right? So,
Well, yeah,
And
that
it really
Cuban
wasn't.
incident,
because the Russians were trying to put missiles on Cuba, right, and
yeah.
that really triggered some bad stuff for a few days,
Snortus says Iron Age. Hail to you, Snortus. I'm not a student of history. I'm a student of science.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. Probably Iron Age, yeah.
And it wasn't
Yeah.
like Spartacus was just any underdog. They actually
Yeah.
were able to get enough money to buy the ships. They could buy them, but
Well, they did
Cassius
loot.
had more money.
They basically looted all the treasure from the rich Romans, right? That every town they went through, they raided it. So, they were kind of giving them some payback, basically.
And a hearty hail to Comic Relief Crusader in the chat. I enjoyed the rewind of Manorama from the other night.
There's
Well
another
done.
great line right there.
I'd rather be here, a free man among brothers.
Yep.
Oh, you can read it. Go for it.
Let me get my best Kirk going on here. I'd rather be here, a free man among brothers, facing a long march and a hard fight, than to be the richest citizen of Rome, fat with food he didn't work for, and surrounded by slaves, for whatever punishment you may deem fit. This I vow by the spirits of my forefathers.
Okay.
Hail,
and that's
Crassus.
it.
I had to. Hail, Crassus.
But also,
he is the best senator in Rome.
Oh, look at that shot. That shot, Joe. The last shot. Now that's a number of extras. That's probably the full 8,500 right there, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Man, every time I see a Kubrick film, I'm blown away.
My performance was satisfactory. Thank you.
it was awesome. Thank
Yeah,
you.
that was good. That was good, man.
And I do want to say hello also to the Comic Relief Crusader. Great to see you here.
Oh, hi, Comic Relief.
And Words and Pictures says ancient bathhouses are a wonder of humanity.
Correct.
It's true.
And a pleasure too.
Even though the aqueducts were full of lead, it was still engineering marvel.
Oh, that's another great line right there. Can you back that up?
Oh, sure. I took a lot of great lines, but
This is one of my favorite lines in the entire film. But I do know that as long as we live, we must stay true to ourselves. I think that's an iconic line. I love that line.
We march tonight.
I did too. That's why it captured me. That's why I took a screen cap of it.
Yeah, this the thing is, thinking that Trumbo wrote this screenplay in only 2 short weeks. Actually, I find it kind of mind-boggling because
2
the
weeks?
dialogue he wrote, I mean, in 2 weeks, I think there was a lot of people that couldn't write that in 2 years, if they had the time. Quite honestly, well, they couldn't these days, it seems. But
Well,
man, the
adapting a
writing,
book to film is a really difficult thing, and that's
yeah,
good that he was able to
yeah,
do it.
and he just seemed to nail it completely. Like the story, the dialogue, it's all there. It's just like it's just great.
And here we see that he's more after vengeance. He doesn't care as much about the patriotism as he keeps saying. He's more just after Spartacus,
Well,
after
what's that
his
old saying that a scoundrel
vengeance.
will wrap himself in the flag?
Yeah.
you know,
Oh yeah.
it's like they often use patriotism as a way to get their evil end game, right?
That's basically the short end of it, man.
I do love Ustinov in this film, though. I thought he was such a slimy, two-faced guy, but there is something kind of just a little bit likable about him at the same time. you know?
Hmm.
The thing is, he won the Academy Award for that performance. Kirk Douglas never won an Academy Award. Now, does that sound fair to you guys?
No,
It's
that
like,
doesn't sound
seriously.
right.
It's like, come on, Academy.
I guess they never really got it right, did they?
Well, I've never been too impressed with some of the stuff the Academy actually, awards, because I think there's a lot better stuff that they overlook, to be quite honest. Oh, there's another great scene. When he finds out, when they're going to have
Strong enough to
a
be
baby,
me.
right?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Oh God, this love story. I think it must be one of the greatest love stories in any film ever. It's just so real. So real.
Snorty says, "No, oh glorious Crassius, your bum would look big in anything."
Oh, yeah. And the first line was, "Does this armor make me look fat?"
Oh, that's a good one.
Ustinov is a lovable slime ball.
Exactly. Hey, I like this shot you got here on screen, Jill. Um, does should have Kirk's dimple got a credit somewhere in this movie? Because that dimple on his chin is pretty outstanding, is it not?
It's you
His
can't ignore it.
Yeah,
chin
exactly.
dimple, his chin dimple,
Exactly.
and his cheek dimples are very prominent.
Yeah, Kirk had quite the face for sure. It was
Yeah.
a great actor's face. Oh, here we go. Wow, wow.
Yeah.
Talk about an epic scene.
Yep.
And when they light this stuff on fire and roll it down the hill.
Outnumbered.
And those are real actors.
Yeah.
And I think don't some of them get run over by these bloody things? Like I think there's a few.
Here we go. Words and pictures with the Tom Lehrer line. Apart from the sanitation, the medicine, education, wine, public order, irrigation, roads, fresh water system, and public health, what have the Romans ever done for us?
True, very true.
Aside from all of that.
Well, as much as we might berate Rome for some of the negative aspects, the empire did invent a lot of things that we still have today that are positive. So can't discredit them 100% for sure.
Mhm.
But yeah, those are real actors, and those are definitely real.
And I'm sure there's a few guys I saw when I was watching the film that actually got mowed down and run over by those flaming logs or whatever the hell they are. And that was like scary.
Well, I mean, this is pre anything projectile besides, the occasional bow that you would see from the Germanic areas.
Yeah.
That's some real choreography.
Yeah.
I don't think the Romans even had bows back then, though, did they? It was just a spear would be probably your best bet at throwing
javelin.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, all the big boys are
a crude thrown weapon than a javelin. Javelin's actually balanced for throwing.
And of course, all the big boys are sitting up in the hill watching the slaughter.
Officers in the tents.
I need to step away for just a minute.
Oh,
After these messages, she'll be right back. I'll never stop doing that.
But the slideshow continues. Ooh, that's a lot of
Mhm.
extras.
Mhm.
Yeah, this was a pretty brutal scene. There
That
was
was
some
a
real good sword action here.
good classical warfare where, the men still lined up, and a lot of people don't know this. Well, I'd say that everybody in the chat knows this. I mean, but that's how they used to line up. You would line up your forces first, and this went all the way to 17th and early 18th century warfare. Guerrilla tactics was frowned upon. Strafing runs, hit and
Well,
run,
you had
raids.
the American Revolution. I mean, they'd
Yeah,
line up
yeah,
against the British and just mow each other down, right? It was
yeah,
nuts.
yeah. It's just,
But I guess
the
that
whole
was
point.
considered the respectable way to kill each other,
Yeah, it's like,
so to speak, right?
yeah,
Oh, this is the scene. Jill's missing everything here.
this is the massacre. Oh, she's the
Oh,
one flipping it.
You're gonna have to
yeah,
rewind there, Jill.
I'm here. No, I'm the one flipping it. Yes.
There it is.
You could rewind, and there's all the sad
No,
stuff.
And the
yeah, this is
kid.
one.
Oh,
This is
not
one
the
of the
kid.
points where,
Nope,
yeah.
nope.
No. I'm
Nope.
sorry. I'm sorry. That's the part that made me cry.
That's the part that almost made me cry. And it was a still shot. Please no.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I was like, I almost did delete that slide. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
glad
was
you
I was
didn't.
late.
I'm glad you didn't, because it adds more meaning to the film, honestly.
It does.
Yeah.
Well, that's
And
what rips me apart.
here's the iconic scene in the whole movie, really.
Yep. Slaves you were, slaves you remain.
This is a
I'm
great scene too.
Spartacus. Yeah, when everybody stood up.
And
and
Crassus
said,
is going, "I'm screwed."
Yeah.
Even in their chains, these guys are not going to give in to me. That
No.
was great. I like that line too. You're his woman. I'm his wife. That's a great line.
Right.
There's a distinction there.
Yeah.
Well, after all of that death, I was really afraid for her for a little bit.
For
Didn't realize.
infant, yes.
I guess maybe the studio wouldn't have allowed Kubrick to go quite that far, though. Killing the mother and the baby would have been a little too much.
I'm sure it crossed his mind though.
Oh, I'm sure Kubrick probably. Kubrick's the kind of director that plots everything out for as many months as he can before even production starts.
Kubrick
and I'm sure it crossed his mind.
Elevators bleed. Okay.
Yeah. That's a great scene too. Hey, Jill, have you seen The Shining?
Don't put me on the spot like that. No, I haven't, but please.
I just want to recommend it.
Oh, now that we should just do a Kubrick stream.
We should do a Kubrick fest.
Yeah, next
Sorry,
couple
Bill, I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
Well, you do it all the time, but it's fine.
No. I just want to, you know how I love stuff, and I want to recommend it to everybody that I enjoy, hanging out with, and it's just probably my favorite horror film of all time. I'll just say that.
We should totally start like the Plomeek saga. The next few Plomeeks just be a good Kubrick film.
Well, the one before this, when Kirk Douglas did Paths of Glory with Kubrick, that's a really great war film.
Yeah,
really good.
Yeah. He's quoting the life of Brian. Franco Walker is quoting the life of Brian.
Yes.
I'm Brian, and so is my wife.
I'm Brian, and so is my wife.
My wife. The life of Brian, Monty Python. I see you out there. I see you. Romans, go home. You're doing it wrong. You're saying it wrong. You're spelling it incorrectly. You have to write it like this. Now, I want you to write it 1,000 times and think about what you did. Okay, all right. Romans, go home 1,000 times.
I couldn't believe the end of this movie. I was thinking, it can't end like this. I gotta keep watching this last 20 minutes because it's terrible. What is going on?
The last part of the film is really tough to watch.
What is this movie gonna give me?
It's really tough to watch, which is another reason why. What another thing that makes it great, because most movies just don't have the guts to do this. Quite honestly,
they really don't.
Yeah. Yeah, Spartacus is a total classic in every way. It really is. This is creepy too when
It's
Crasser's
awful. He's
trying to seduce her. Like, what a sick. I mean, he's going to crucify her husband and he wants to seduce the wife. It's like, you sick bastard, you know?
Well, when in Rome.
I just hated his guts at this
well,
point.
that would have been the worst if she couldn't escape. So the fact that she does is the
Well,
only
thank goodness. Yeah, that's the
that
one.
is the one
She
hopeful
escapes with
thing in
his
the
son,
movie.
and that makes the one bright spot at the end. Yeah, totally.
Which Chinatown didn't have.
Oh, Chinatown's very dark. Very, very dark.
I saw these 2 movies in 1 week.
That's probably not the best thing to do because they're both kind of downers.
Yeah, seriously. You might need a drink after all this.
I didn't mean to do that. But I also watched Spider-Man, so I'm okay.
Maybe you should watch some 50s musicals or something where everybody's singing and dancing. That might be a good antidote.
or at the very least, watch a pseudo musical in the 50s, like Grease.
But I also saw the Super Mario movie today.
Oh, well, that's a big upper. Don't
should pick
spoil
you up,
it.
man.
I'm gonna see it tomorrow.
It's adorable, yeah.
Oh yeah, I bet it is.
And it's Super Mario, so don't expect the major complexities of this film.
I want to see Mario jumping on blocks, pushing people off a rainbow road, and going woohoo! I'm not here for that.
Good. That's exactly what you're getting.
Perfect.
And this is another great part of the film here coming up.
Oh, yes.
I mean, this time they're not fighting to entertain the Romans. They're fighting to try and save the other one from dying slowly with a quick death. And that's a beautiful, beautiful sequence, I think. Yeah, man, more layers of complexity.
I won't let them crucify you. You must die quickly.
Yeah.
But crucifixion's such a good punishment. Yo, will.
And he says, "Forgive me" at the end there. That's like, wow.
Yeah, even in the end, they don't let the Romans win here.
No, they're still brothers, even when he has to kill him to save him from a slow death. The Romans can't win. That's the thing I love about the end of this movie, though. Even though the Romans have won a victory, they can't win the war in the long run. They won the battle, not the war.
Right, exactly. It's like when the Jem'Hadar are fighting Worf when they're at the prison.
Yeah.
And Worf keeps getting up, and eventually the Jem'Hadar says, "We could kill him, but we'll never defeat him."
No, it's like never say die, never surrender, right? As long as you keep fighting. If you don't give up, then you can't be defeated. I mean, life might defeat you in a lot of ways, but it's still like a victory if you just keep fighting.
Mm-hmm.
I like that they had a real baby in these scenes too.
Mm-hmm. Kronos
they
is still
did,
trying to
instead of a
figure
little
out
baby
what,
doll. Oh, and hey, hello, it's Kronos.
Oh,
I just
Kronos.
saw him. He says, "What is a Jill?" That's me. Hello. And he's also trying to figure out what a Plomeek is. It's either a Vulcan soup or a tea. And so I went for the tea, as we see in Star Trek Enterprise.
I like this scene with Batiatus, I think his name is, when he saves her, takes her out of the city, and gets her away to safety. Like, that's the one decent thing he does in the whole film, really.
It is. And
this scene.
It's his redemption.
Yeah.
Oh God, this is still, even watching just the slides, this is getting to me.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It is.
Oh,
this is the second time I cried too.
This is just such an intense scene. What does she say at the end? Die quickly, my love, or something? Oh, like,
yeah.
Oh God.
She doesn't want to see him suffer anymore.
She wishes for mercy, truly.
Oh, what a film.
Yes, and thank you guys for helping me go through it too.
Oh, I wanted to be here because I love this film and I didn't want to miss this. So.
Hey man, I know that you're streaming late, but I wouldn't miss Spartacus. I mean, no way. I'm glad I could make it, even though
Well, I
have a
knew
very-
I had to talk about it because, well, because I watched the whole thing. I need to actually talk about it. So thank you guys for talking about it with me. It
Well,
was
I'm so
great that
glad
we did.
to you decided to pick this film because I hadn't watched it in over 30 years probably. So I'd forgotten so much about it except for the few real iconic bits. But when I watched it last night, I was just so impressed at how great this film really is. Like it's really one of the great films ever made. I mean, it's a classic in every way. It's just quality all the way through.
Hail to Cam. I'm hoping that things are better in your area. Things are looking a little bit brighter in your life. I know that that's going to be a long transition, but I've been praying for you, dude. If you
Does
need
something
anything, you know
something
I'm
bad happen?
away.
Oh gosh.
All right. I don't know if I'm going to be at the Frolics tonight, so I'm just, putting my hand on your shoulder now and going, if you need a friend, let me know.
Yeah, same here. I don't know what's happening, but
Yeah,
we
I
all
don't know
love
what
Cam
happened, but
and we
obviously if
support
something
you.
bad happened, I hope it's better soon.
He requests his lordship to sing Loch Lomond like I do, and then he requests me to sing it on my stream sometimes. And I'm more than happy to do it, as well as pay for his lordship to do it. So, you need anything, you let me know, man.
And he says, hello again, everyone. Had to step away from the keyboard, making pork chops and baking bread. And wow, baking bread. That's incredible. I don't hear a lot about people making bread. But pork chops, I'm getting hungry for dinner actually. I need to get some food before the frolics. Snort-a-poopus Cuber says, death by crucifixion is slow and agonizing.
It's one of the best punishments ever, though.
Weirdo.
Yeah, that'd be interesting actually look up what it's actually like, but I imagine it could take days for a person to die that way.
A week. It's usually a week on average. Sometimes
That's
it's
horrible. Yeah, those fun-loving Romans, eh?
Well, fun-loving. Speaking of fun-loving, Franco Walker says, didn't they set them on fire?
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Kronos is asking a particularly odd question.
Oh, he is. Is that Tony Stark looking like Kirk?
Perhaps you want me to sound like Kirk too. What does God need with a starship?
Yes, that does appear to be Tony Stark with the captain's uniform.
Yeah, and it's an itchy one too, apparently.
It's very itchy. Anytime that I'm on, if I'm going to be, if the, hell freezes over and I get on Teague's stream, this will be the uniform that I wear there. Every time that I'm on Jill's stream, this is the uniform I'm going to wear. The Star Truckers unite. Star trucking across the universe.
Oh, that's a good song.
Load.
I like
Yes,
that.
definitely.
That's a
especially
fun
the 735 Club.
Yes.
The more and more I see of Hertzman Trek, the more I
the more you want to say, come in peace, shoot to kill, shoot to kill, shoot to kill. We come in peace, shoot to kill, man.
I love that video. That's a great,
Me
great
too.
video.
I love that song.
It's so goofy. It's great.
It's the Star Trek anthem.
Yeah.
It is.
Well, I just got to step away for 1 minute, so hopefully you'll be on for a little bit longer, Jill, if that's okay.
I will. I am closing out because I need to make dinner and get ready to moderate and everything. But
I'll be real quick.
You said earlier that you needed to mention something after we were done with the review.
Yes.
So what was that?
And it is Star Trek related, and I figured you and Klobby, I tagged you in a post on Twitter. You and Klobby and Scotty, and none of you guys got me back. I guess the tweet twats being a tweet twat. But I remember, and this could be a Mandela effect thing. It could not be, but I figured all of the experts in the chat here could probably have an answer too. I remember a Picard line that was basically a rereading of the Werner von Braun Handful of Rocks and Soil line, where he said, were it our intent simply to go to the moon, retrieve a handful of rocks and soil, and leave the entire Enterprise, then we would be history's biggest fools. And nobody seems to remember this, but that line stuck with me. And I'm trying to find a source, and I can't. Anywhere I go on the internet, I just can't. Help me out here. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Was this the Next Generation? Where
I don't know if it was in TNG or if it was as a promo spot on, whenever he was like, earlier in like on those late night shows and whatnot during an interview, but I remember him saying it. I remember him basically, but TNG likes to take stuff from everything anyway. So I figured it was another case of, okay, here's a famous quote. Let's have Picard put his own spin on it kind of thing.
And sometimes he just does a straight quote, and sometimes it's changed for the future.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't remember that one. That's a deep cut for me.
Were it our intention? Clobby might know. I'm gonna have to ask
Clobby. Yeah, Clobby is the one to ask.
Were it our
this is too esoteric. I don't know.
I'll just say it again for the chat. Were it our intention merely to go to the moon, gather a handful of rocks and soil, and leave the entire Enterprise, then we would be history's biggest fools. If anybody remembers that line or knows of that line or has a link of that line, please tweet it to me, because it's like a song that never ends in your head until you listen to it. It's haunting me, Jill. It's tearing me apart from the inside.
Well, I'm watching the chat. I don't see it yet. If anybody remembers, yeah, no, that sounds really interesting. I will check it out. I'll do some research.
No, thank you.
Sandra Feliciano says, wait a minute. Actually, I can do research right here.
I got all the time in the world. You got a time machine. Oh, wait, what?
No. Okay, tell me the best part of what you remember. Again, one more time.
I'll just recite the line. Were it our intention merely to go to the moon, gather a handful of rocks and soil, and leave the entire Enterprise, then we would be history's biggest fools.
Okay. Let me try. Leave the entire Enterprise. Let's see.
Now, the original Werner von Braun line goes, was it our intent merely to go to the moon, go to the gravel pit, get a handful of rocks and soil, and leave everything else, then we would be history's biggest fools. That was the original Werner von Braun line.
I'm searching the Star Trek scripts. I don't see anything like it.
That is nuts. Where did I hear that from?
Well, I don't know.
I'm gonna have to go up the chain.
It sounds really cool, though. Yeah. It sounds like something he would say, which is why I'm trying to look it up.
Yeah. And he was saying it in context to something, I believe, where it was like a budding spacefaring civilization, because they encountered a lot of them.
They did.
They're training lasers on us.
Right, and of course, the Prime Directive would be paramount there.
Right.
So this one was in an episode somewhere? I don't remember this.
I don't know if it's an episode, if it was a promotional end cap or TV spot.
Oh, that could be like a commercial?
Yeah.
Maybe. I don't remember that at all, to be quite honest.
Words and Pictures says, it reminds me of the Kennedy speech, we choose to go to the moon. It does, doesn't it?
Sandra Feliciana says, crucifixion was actually invented by the Phoenicians. The person starts to suffocate and then has to push up against the nails, against the rough wood to breathe.
And that's one thing in the film that Kubrick didn't get to do, was drive nails into their actors' hands. They actually had them tied, if you noticed, at the end there.
I did.
Because actually in real crucifixions, I do believe they actually literally nail people to the cross.
Oh, Cam wants you to do Ben-Hur, also a very good film. And it's good for Easter as well.
Yeah, that'd be
maybe that'll be, maybe next year.
I know the one I see every year, that they always put it on a certain network, is the Ten Commandments. They seem to show that every freaking Easter. But I've seen it enough times, so I don't need to see it again.
And I would no, I did, because my mother let me stay up late on Sunday to watch.
Oh, cool. It's a great film. Like, I saw it as a kid for 50 cents in the Saturday matinee. Back when they had great Saturday matinees at your local cinema, at your local theater. So I pay my 50 cents, walk in, get my popcorn, sit down. cartoons, serials, the whole shebang. And then 10 Commandments starts for like 3.5 freaking hours.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, what am I
Charlton
watching?
Heston's name appeared to the epic orchestra and the clouds rolling behind it. Dun, 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 dun.
You got Heston, you got Yul Brynner, you got the whole kit and caboodle, all these Vincent Price, all these fantastic actors and these fantastic costumes and these sets and the action, the chariots, the party in the Red Sea, and I'm just sitting there like silent, right?
And then they hang out in the desert for a little while.
Oh yeah. No, that's one of my favorite films too. It's a classic, but it's not I don't think it's as deep intellectually as Spartacus is, though.
But it's still a really good story and well laid out and beautiful.
Yeah. No, it's still a great film. Don't get me wrong, but I put Spartacus a little bit higher for sure.
Definitely. This is one I need to rewatch in order to understand everything from it.
Ben Hur's great too. We're on a sword and sandals stream here.
Makes sense.
Yeah,
Makes sense. Happy Easter.
Hey.
And I hope everybody enjoys the frolics tonight, or whatever you guys decide to do with the rest of your Friday.
Yeah, I'm undecided. I'm not sure what I'm doing tonight, but I'll probably tune it on and listen at least.
And Warden Picture says good night. I had fun.
Yeah, also good background radio.
Absolutely, lots of good fun. Well, I'm in the chat also. I'll be there hanging out tonight,
swinging that big wrench.
Yeah. Oh, did you notice? Did you notice my the prisoner joke in my my comment there?
Oh, did you put a comment in here?
Well, I mean, in my under my PvP name.
I am not Spartacus. Oh my God! But I am a free man.
Oh right. Oh, oh yeah. I see that.
That's great. I couldn't resist.
Yeah, I mean, you have to. Just the Kirk Bride. Yeah.
I don't feel free when I'm at work, but other than that, it's okay.
Yeah, that's what you do with your free time that counts.
That's right. Well, I do love The Prisoner too.
Unless you love your job.
Hail to Matt G.
Actually, my job is really, really good. Actually,
see you soon,
my boss told me I'm getting a raise in about a week, so that's pretty cool.
Captain says he loves getting nailed.
I love getting nailed.
You better specify what kind of nailing that is, Captain.
Show me the
or maybe don't. Maybe
play
don't.
around.
And Franco Walker says, thank you, panel and chat. And that's what I should be doing. Thank you, panel. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, PvP.
Glad to be here.
And thanks to the chat, Matt G, Kronos, Captain Infinity, Snortopupus, Cuber, and Franco Walker.
Wow, yeah,
we had a lively chat.
We got 15 watching right now in the chat. That's pretty cool.
And Sandra Feliciano. I'll see you in a little bit too. And also King Dolphin TV was here. I don't know how many times my bot promoted King Dolphin, but I'll do it again here.
Mm-hmm.
There's King Dolphin TV. He just had a really cool stream with the Mark D with the C. I caught some of it. I need to go watch the rest.
I need to get a hold of him because he wants to slot an interview with me, but I just can't do Wednesdays. I'm always working Wednesdays. I have to figure something out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm sure he can work something out with you.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me what you have going on your channel, Tony. Oh, not that.
Well, I've been sprinkling a bit of the teasers throughout the entire stream simply because I was working on said video while talking with this wonderful panel here. I'm bringing a DeLorean back to life in an ancient computer program called Grand Theft Auto Vice City, circa 2003. And we will be conducting live animated experiments discussing the inner workings and logistics of temporal displacement, including how to commit your own murder. Sound familiar? It sounds pretty familiar to me. But other than that, I will be streaming on Sunday, and that's going to be really fun. And on April 30th, my first custom Sunday stream is going to be a karaoke night.
Karaoke?
Karaoke April 30th. I'm thinking it's going to be hosted by Death Clock as well. And if for those who don't know who those guys are, these guys. Hey, Pickles, you drummer from Death Clock? No, I'm Nathan Explosion. That's I'm Mr. Squigs Godlead's guitarist.
And I'm William Murderface. We're all gonna rock your shit out on April 30th.
So likes Pistas and brings candy. So yeah, those guys.
So
oh wait, wrong uniform.
What kind of tunes are you going to have on the
rock and roll
karaoke?
metal? It's and like each time I do a karaoke night, it's going to be like a theme, but you can sing whatever you want. It's karaoke. But you know,
I can't wait to see the DeLorean. That's gonna be cool.
So you can do that with no copy.
Time circuit still?
I haven't yet. I did get your DM about it.
Yeah. The Time Circus, that's an old program too, and I was able to resurrect that one from the dead on Jarvis 1.0, the computer behind me. So yeah.
Sweet.
Dude, LDG says pickles. He likes pickles.
Oh,
LDG
is a drummer.
Yeah, well, Pickles is going to be doing the drum solos for sure.
You know what? Before Rick and Morty, that was my most requested impersonation set was Death Clock. All 5 band members. Yeah. That's how I learned how to argue with myself so good. That's how I learned how to
Because you have the band members talk to each other. That is great.
You say, come on, guys, you should have some vodka over here. Dudes, it's like the last times I had the Grey Goose vodka, it was really good.
I like whiskey, bourbon, and scotch.
All you have to do is have an easy way to switch between the avatars.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a bit of a challenge, but thankfully, I'm going to hopefully have a full line of karaoke panelists to where I could figure something out closer to that time.
And I know you don't have a channel.
One before thing from Franco Walker. He said, Starkvine, still play San Andreas on the PS2. I could probably show you some of the same DeLorean mods for that too, man.
I love San Andreas. That is a great. I haven't finished it or anything, but I enjoy it. The radio is really great in that game.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of music, what do you got going on, Pleasant Valley Picker?
Well, I've got another album in the works that I'll probably be uploading sometime today. It's a Canadian band called Crash Vegas. Their first album called Red Earth, which is a pretty cool album. It's not really what I'd call a hard rocker by any means, but if you kind of want something that's kind of a little more mellow rock, but really some really great songs, really catchy tunes, with some good hooks and riffs, it might be an album to check out. It's usually one of those albums I'll put on maybe in the background when I'm doing something later, in the evening when I don't want to piss off the neighbors in my apartment here, right? With something too raunchy or too loud. But it's really, really good. And it's one of those albums you can kind of just throw on and kind of meditate to. It's pretty good stuff. So yeah, I'll probably upload that one today. I'm trying to find another album by a band called Orange Park. Their album's called Songs of the Unknown, and I cannot find that damn album anywhere on the internet. So I don't know.
You're gonna have to do some hunting.
I do have the CD around here somewhere, which I've misplaced, but I'm sure I can turn it up. But what I might do is, if I do an upload of the CD, I'll probably just make it like a private one, just and send out invites to you guys that want to check it out, because I don't want to go through all the copyright, crap that people go through. So anyway, that's probably far away, probably weeks away at least. So, but yeah, great. Check out my channel. Good. I got lots of music there.
Fun. Thank you.
Yep, you're welcome.
Well, all righty.
All right. So everybody enjoy your Friday. Hope you guys have a great weekend. And we'll see you guys next time.
Yeah, it was fun. I really enjoyed talking about Spartacus today and examining, all the stuff about this cool film.
Yeah, me too. Good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night, everyone.
Bye.
I really wish they'd let us play music up here. Make these long trips go by a lot faster.
It's against regulations.
Yeah, I never understood that.
They just don't want us having a dance party when a proximity alert goes off.
See, that's a dumb reason. Because we'd already be on our feet, ready for action.